Welcome to the Touch MBA Admissions Podcast. Do you need help figuring out which schools to apply to or how to get into the world's top MBA programs? Hey, you're not alone. Join thousands of others on this podcast and on our site, touchmba.com, as they seek the admissions edge. And now, here's your host, Darren Joe.
Hey guys, welcome to the Touch MBA podcast. This is your host, Darren, and this week we had Professor Ohtaki from the Waseda School of Business on the show, and we chatted about Waseda's International MBA program, which is 2 years in length, taught in English, based in Tokyo, and MBAs have a kind of unique standing in Japan, and what emerged from our conversation was that Waseda could be a really interesting option for those of you who have an interest in Japanese business, in the best of Japanese business, in studying things like technology management, innovation management, and who have an interest in helping Japanese companies expand internationally, as that is a big focus for them now, and they're really looking for international MBA graduates familiar with Japanese business culture and their hometown environments. So let's get straight to the episode. Pleasure to introduce our next guest, Professor Reiji Ohtaki, who is the program director of the Nanyang-Waseda Double MBA and also manages the Career Management Center for the Waseda MBA program as well. I'm just really excited to learn more about this leading MBA program in Japan and why you should think about potentially, going to Tokyo to get your MBA. So thank you so much for your time and welcome to the show, Professor Ohtaki.
Oh, thank you, Darren. My great pleasure to be in this program. Thank you.
Fantastic. And Professor Ohtaki has a lot of industry experience as well. I saw that you're the chairman of Hay and Consulting, and you previously had very senior leadership positions at Hay Consulting and Mercer. So he has both an industry and an academic perspective to share with you today. So Professor Ohtaki, my first question for you is, what makes the Waseda MBA unique?
We are in Japan the largest, business school in terms of the number of students. We have a full-time program, part-time program. Within the full-time program, we have English courses as well as the Japanese courses. You can actually can get an MBA purely in Japanese or purely in English, or you can take a MBA with a mixture of Japanese and in English. That makes our program really unique. Daytime, full-time program, we have about 100 students a year. Evening part-time program, we have another 100 a year. Both of the programs are 2 years program. So altogether, we have 400, students at, our school. Large business school in Japan, diversity, located in the middle of the Tokyo. I think those makes our program really unique.
I see that you often say that Waseda is Japan's flagship business school. So can you talk to us a little bit about the reputation of Waseda in Japan and what it's known for?
Sure. Waseda itself has a very long history, as you may know. It's one of the oldest private university. And, what we are very much proud of is network of, old boys. Alumni organization is very strong. We have alumni offices in not just major cities in Japan, but also major cities in overseas, Singapore, Thailand, Taiwan, Korea. We have that network. So the Waseda Business School students, they are able to utilize, that very impressive network of business people. So that's the reason why people, I think, call Waseda as a kind of Japan flagship, business school.
And I also saw that your identity as a school, I saw these terms, and forgive me if I'm pronouncing them incorrectly, but Monozukuri, Kaizen, and innovation are three key parts of the identity of the school. Could you talk a little bit more about those focuses and that identity?
Sure. Japan being country of very fine, high quality, innovative products. And our school, we have a program called the Management of Technology, where many science major students come here, not for the learning additional technological know-how, but to learn about how to manage the high technology manufacturing organization, companies and so forth. So taking advantage of Monozukuri, which is a technology-based industry of Japan, and taking advantage of this business school, we are developing many general managers who can manage the technology-based organizations.
Yeah, and that's a perfect segue to my next question. An MBA in the U.S. is viewed still with, a lot of respect. If you go to a top MBA program in the U.S., there's a lot of career opportunities for you. But I heard that the MBA has kind of a different history in Japan, and that MBAs might not be viewed quite as strongly in Japan than, say, in the West. Could you talk a little bit more about, the MBA's standing in Japan, and as well as why you think international candidates should come to Tokyo to get a degree at Waseda?
Historically, you're right. The Japanese large companies has been exercising a seniority-driven human resources program. They prefer to recruit fresh graduate out of the school. Concept of MBA were introduced not so long ago, and therefore, in most of the Japanese companies, having an MBA does not mean that they have express tickets for the promotion. Okay, but having said that, as many Japanese companies going global, they are facing situation that development of the local market, not just exporting and manufacturing goods in overseas, but also developing the market, in overseas, becoming really the biggest challenge. Then many companies started realizing the importance of talent with MBA, education. So things started changing, particularly the last 3-4 years. That Japanese company started focusing on mid-career hires, as well as hiring MBA graduates with great knowledge of how to run the company, various MBA subjects. Therefore, last particularly few years, non-Japanese MBAs are becoming really popular recruiting candidate for among the Japanese major companies.
You mean non-Japanese citizens?
Non-Japanese citizens who with MBA.
Yeah, and maybe on that note, do most of your international candidates try to find employment within Japan, or do they tend to return to their home countries or look for work elsewhere in Asia?
The most recent survey we did among the international students studying here, 83% of them are interested in getting a career opportunity with Japanese companies. But I wouldn't say 83%, all of them very aggressive, trying to find the opportunity with a Japanese company. Some of them are a bit opportunistic. So I would say about 50% of international students are doing proactive activities, trying to find the career opportunity with the Japanese companies.
And how important is it for those candidates to know Japanese?
At this stage, the Japanese language is a must-have, as many Japanese companies still having a problem, converting their common business language to English. So for those international MBAs, having a Japanese language skill is very important. But that doesn't mean that they should speak and write Japanese as ordinary Japanese do. Okay, as long as they can converse on a job-related situation, having able to communicate with the colleagues, bosses, that should be okay. Most of the Japanese employees also can read and write English all right. The speaking is a bit of a problem still.
Got it. And so are there opportunities for your students to learn or brush up on their Japanese while in the program?
Sure. We actually encourage all the new MBAs to learn Japanese language through our in-house program. Same time, we one of the unique feature of Waseda Business School is that we run what we call ZEMI, which I think is originally came from the idea came from the Germany. But each professor is responsible to take care of every year, 5 to 6, maximum 8 students. We call it ZEMI. And through that ZEMI activities, they have every week, they have lots of, opportunity to interact with Japanese students, both full-time and part-time. In addition to the learning Japanese in the class, they are given a lot of opportunity to use it, in a real communication situation with the Japanese classmates.
If we could now turn our attention towards admissions.
Yes.
My first question is, who is your ideal candidate? Who are you looking for?
We are looking for candidate who understand and respect, of course, different culture and different kinds of thoughts, and who is more open-minded and proactive, participating in all kinds of events by business school. Because our MBA students, they are very proactive people. Not just within the school, outside the school, that they organize many interesting events. So open-minded, proactive kind of people be very welcome. Basically, we welcome those who are interested in learning Japanese culture, way of, hospitality. Also, those who are interested in, technology, innovation. So those are the ideal candidate, for us.
Yeah, and something I wanted to ask you about the program was that all your MBA candidates have to write a thesis in order to graduate?
Exactly. That's another unique feature, and it is actually linked with the ZEMI structure a while ago I described. Each professor, we have a certain, expertise. In my case, for example, my research area is leadership, globalization of the Japanese corporation, also, organization and human resources management. So for those students in my ZEMI, they're given continuous the advice to dig into, the area which I just described. And, they get involved in research that I sponsor with my, clients, things like that. And using those data, they, write thesis. And some students, they go even beyond to make a presentation at the international conference, making a publication in a well-known business journal kind of thing. So it's not just taking classes to get an MBA, but through those thesis writing activity, they get even closer to a real business world. They can learn a lot by getting involved in those research projects, things like that.
Yeah, and one other question is Waseda particularly well known in any discipline? It sounds like managing technology.
MOT, yes, is one. General management, strategy, business strategy, and organization and HRM.
Fantastic. Okay, so then in terms of your GMAT, do you have a minimum score? And yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we don't have any minimum score. We started accepting GRE as well, but we do not set any minimum score for this. Rather, where we look at the overall level of the candidates, we ask them to write minimum 4 essays. Okay. And also we look at their GPA, undergrad GPA. Also, we say in our guideline that the 3 years of working experience is recommended, and for those who have working experience, we put additional points. So we just don't look at the GMAT or a GRE score. We'll just make a judgment with the more holistic way to select the candidate.
Got it. Okay. And you have do you have an average GMAT?
All right. Well, I think it's around a 550.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
And so, what 3 things can applicants do to improve their chances?
That's that's a difficult question, but I guess we have 2 intakes. One is in September, and most of the English speaking international students are applying for the September intake. We have another one in April, and most of the Japanese full-time students are actually entering in April. And for that, we have an entrance exam in Japanese. So, I guess you're asking those 3 things, right, for international students who are interested in joining us in September.
Yes.
I guess the, enriching your work experience, and I feel it, okay. The other thing, of course, studying for higher GMAT score, that certainly helps. I think through essays, we wanted them to really show their energy, enthusiasm to come to Japan, join Waseda to study what. We really value their zeal, So I would say those are the 3 things.
Perfect. And so on that note, of course, the first thing, candidates, make sure that Waseda is the right program for you. Apply with zeal. But if you are able to get in terms of scholarships, can you let us know, what percentage of your class gets scholarships and, what your typical scholarship amounts are?
Sure, yeah. I've checked the percentage. Every year we have around 45, 50 international students, and approximately 25 people receive a scholarship. The program varies, but one of the most high level scholarship tuition, 2-year tuition is waived, plus the 1.5 million yen cash per year for 2 years be awarded. So it's actually quite an attractive, scholarship, and we usually give this to 2 to 3 candidate out of 45 international students. And also Japanese government has been welcoming international students to Japan. So at this moment we have for everybody we grant 65,000 yen a month for 2 years. This is again for everybody, anybody coming from overseas to join the MBA program.
Oh wow, that's really amazing.
I mean, in Japan, Tokyo is relatively, although yen is getting weaker, still, expensive city in terms of the living cost. So 65,000 yen per month would not cover all the expenditure. I cannot say that. But having said that, it's still, good support we have.
Absolutely. I did a quick Google translate on the currency. So that's about 650 around there US dollars per month
Exactly.
to help with
Exactly.
living expenses.
Yes,
And
exactly.
that's really an incredible offer. And then in terms of loans, do international students get loans from Japanese banks or?
Unfortunately, no, we do not have that program.
Okay, so definitely, look for loans in your own country if you need them for coming
Right.
to Japan.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
great. And then in terms of careers, because we only have a few more minutes here,
Sure.
could you explain the visa process? Say like an international candidate from Vietnam comes to Tokyo and wants to try to find a job there. How would that work after she graduates from the program?
Oh, I see. Okay. Everybody study here, under the ordinary, university program, undergrad or graduate programs. They will be given a 24-month, 2 years of visa for them to look for the career in Japan after the graduation. But we encourage very strongly for those who wants to get a career here in Japan to start, much earlier. Okay, for example, September intake we just had a couple of months ago. We already started, giving them opportunity about internship at the Japanese companies because earlier is always better, right? And Japanese company through internship, they given more opportunity to assess our students. So it's earlier we start this building a relationship, better for both school students and also for the company. So the September intake MBA, they have already started, some sort of recruiting activities.
Yeah, and it's pretty common then for your international MBAs to try to find an internship between those first and second years?
Yes, and I'm actually head of the career support, committee, as you introduced me, and we have a full-time, career support staff who is always, talking to a company for internship opportunities as well as the recruiting opportunities. So we have a few pages of the list of the companies who are looking for MBAs from our school. We're doing this very proactively.
Yeah, and you're the perfect person to ask, if someone comes to Waseda and really wants to thrive and really wants to be active in the program, but also get a great career opportunity for them after the program, what advice would you tell that person on the first day of class?
For those who are interested in career opportunity in Japan?
Yes.
Definitely, first try to learn Japanese. Okay, do your best to get this language skill capability. Not just for their career, but also the way to enjoy culture and life. We have a beautiful four seasons and long history, as you know, and knowing Japanese language will magnify the level of your joy. Yeah, so that's the first advice that I usually give.
It's a great tip. And so what is the best way for our listeners to contact, students and alumni of your program?
We do, as I said, we have a Tomonkai, which is a alumni club in major, cities, Singapore, Taiwan, Korea. Now, that's one way. We have a representative there. But at the same time, you can contact our school administration here. And, we can then connect you to the current MBA students who may be able to help you to, get the right information. So just give us a, contact.
Okay, yeah, and I'll be sure to link to those email addresses and sites on the show notes. And Professor Ohtaki, I guess in closing, is there anything else about the Waseda MBA that you just wish more candidates knew about?
As I already mentioned, there are many, activities that the MBA students voluntarily have started. One of such is, for example, like an international gourmet festival, where international students, as well as Japanese students, they cook home country food to have, it's a big event. Also, there's a Mount Fuji project every end of July that 30, 40 students get together to climb Mount Fuji. It's outside of the school activities, but there are so many such activities, and they seem to enjoy a lot, broadening their network. And I've asked, some of my Zemi students, so they are so happy. None of them actually regretted that they entered Waseda Business School. People are more warm. People are, rather humble here. There is a competition, yes, but we are helping each other. So that is our culture here. So that's something that I want our candidates, to know.
Thank you so much for your time, Professor Ohtaki, and we hope to have you back on the program again sometime.
Oh, sure, certainly. Thank you, Darren.
Thanks for listening to the Touch MBA podcast. Don't be shy. We have a mailing list. Go to touchmba.com and get yourself signed up. And we'll keep you posted with the best tips and insider interviews on how to get into your number one school. You can also find us on Twitter and Facebook at Touch MBA. See you soon.